The sun rises on Dreamland. Its golden rays spread across the land like a warm embrace, resting on the faces of flowers and hills. Grasses sway from the gentle graze of the breeze, rippling across the plains in waves. Birds awake in the light of morning, chirping happily to one another in a joyous symphony of colorful flutes. The waddle-dees of the town rise with a yawn, sleepily getting up to get the town up and running. Sitting by the cliffside facing the glistening sea, Kirby lays sleeping on his little star bed. Blinking awake, he sits up and lets out a great big yawn. He takes off his mint sleeping cap and gets up to get his day started. What will he do today? Rolling out of bed, he turns and flips his blanket in the air, letting it fall gently back onto the bed with no wrinkles, before tucking its edges under the pillow. Setting his pillow right and resting his mint cap neatly upon the pillow, he turns around and leaves his home. As he steps outside, two birds dart above him, playfully chasing each other's tails and dancing in the sky. They chirp happily to one another. Kirby looks down and sees the fields that stretch in bright green rolls to the town just beyond. Just before him, however, he spots a beautifully bloomed daisy which has been sprouting just off the side of the dirt road for a few days. Its petals extend outward, as if the flower is reaching out for one big hug from Kirby. He stares at it for a bit as it bobs and sways in the breeze. Breathing deeply, Kirby rises and waddles his way towards town. As he approaches it, he sees the waddle-dees moving to and fro between buildings, exchanging goods and chatting with one another. Kirby decides to visit Kawasaki first and get some breakfast. He walks into the cafe and takes a seat at the booth. Kawasaki comes over and Kirby orders an omelet with a breakfast tea. Soon enough, he is served a big omelet with a little ketchup drawing of a chef hat. Along with it is a cup of steaming mint tea. Kirby doesn't need the caffeine. With a whir, Kirby eats the whole thing in one gulp. He makes sure to leave the plates uneaten, however. It would be rude to make Kawasaki buy new ones. Having fully eaten, Kirby gets up and gives his thanks to Kawasaki for the meal. Before he leaves, he buys an energy drink and a Maxim tomato from Kawasaki to go. Stuffing the goods into his bag, Kirby leaves the cafe and wanders down the street, wondering what to do next. He walks by shops and stores, by thrift stores and bookshops and more cafes and arcades, but none of them seem to catch his eye. He walks by two waddle-dees sitting by a porch and chatting, and he waves at them in the usual manner, waving his arms all about and shouting, "Hi!" Delighted, they respond in kind, and then go back to their chat. He walks and he walks and he walks some more, buildings and shops and signs passing by, until suddenly he finds that he has left the town. Well, he surely didn't want to do anything else in town, so, undeterred, he continues his path along the journey. On the way, he walks by patches of dandelions, now turned into puffballs, with their seeds floating in white little dust bunnies across the air like snow. Dragonflies zip by and buzz all around, frolicking with one another in the air. Just up ahead, he spots a lake that the road skirts just around before leading into the woods. Upon a small stump, Kirby sees Bandana Waddle-Dee with a fishing rod. Kirby goes up and sits on the log next to him. Waddle-Dee has been fishing here for quite some time. He's trying to catch a big fish for Kawasaki's fish special, since Kawasaki promised a free meal if he brought him a fish. But he's had no such luck. Every tug of the string turns up empty, and otherwise the line remains still. He worries that if he can't catch a fish soon, then he'll miss out on dinner and won't be able to get it to Kawasaki. Just then, the line tugs, and frantically, Waddle-Dee yanks up the line, only to find that the hook is still empty. Frustrated, Waddle-Dee stomps a foot and huffs. Wah-ya! Kirby doesn't like to see his friend so upset. Is there anything he can do to help Waddle-Dee? Just then, Kirby has an idea. He takes out the Maxim tomato he bought from Kawasaki and cuts off a slice of it. He hands it to Waddle-Dee, who puts it at the end of his hook. Waddle-Dee casts the line into the water with a splash, and then they wait. The sunlight glimmers on the lake's surface, the light dancing in small streaks as it ripples. The blowing of the breeze brushes against the trees and flows through the grass, yet besides that, all is still at this moment. Suddenly, the line tugs, but more so, it pulls. A fish has taken the bait. Waddle Dee has to stand up to try and pull the line in. This fish is big. Waddle Dee is struggling a lot. Kirby has to jump in and help. Grabbing the rod with both hands, they both yank up with all their might, and a big red fish wearing blue goggles comes soaring into the air and into Waddle Dee's arms. It's so big that it covers up Waddle Dee's face when he's holding it. Waddle Dee is bouncing up and down with excitement. He can't believe he's caught such a big fish. Kawasaki's going to be super happy about this one, he tells Kirby. He thanks Kirby some more and rushes off to bring the fish to Kawasaki. He's so fast that he leaves a giant trail of kicked dust in his wake. Kirby waves at him as he goes. This lake is nice, he thinks, but it's not what I'm looking for. So, on a dime, he turns around and continues to walk deeper into the forest. Entering the trees, he looks around at the lush bushes and vines that scatter the sides of the pathway. He sees leafy vines curl around the trunks of trees like a warm, plantly hug. Sun dapples the ground ahead of him in bright spots. Just in the middle of the pathway, he spots a slug trailing along. It has found a leaf that has fallen on the path and is munching away happily. Kirby stops to look at it for a while, but he can't look for too long or he'll get hungry again. So he waves goodbye at the happy slug and continues onward. Suddenly, the pathway stretches up towards a hill. It's a pretty long incline, even for Kirby. Before he knows it, he's already huffing from how tired he is. He has to take a break to catch his breath. Kirby looks up to see how much farther he has to go, and he can see a tiny spot of light just off in the distance. That must be the end of the forest. How is he going to make it up that far, though? Kirby knows the answer. He grabs the energy drink he brought from Kawasaki after his breakfast. With a big gulp, he downs the whole thing. The energy rushes back to him, and the burn from the exhaustion is banished immediately. Suddenly, his legs start moving. They move faster and faster. He almost can't control them. The light at the end of the forest gets closer and closer and closer, and he passes through it. He crashes into the tree at the end of the forest path. The path has led to a tree on a hill that overlooks the entire town. Kirby is still bouncing all around from the excitement of the energy drink, of course. Soon enough, he calms down and rests on the tree in the shade overlooking the town. It looks so small yet so bustling all the same, the sounds of it too far to reach him. It looks peaceful from up here, where the wind and birds and rustling leaves are the only things to be heard. Suddenly, among the wind and leaves and birds, he hears the heavy whooshing of wings flying near him. He looks and he sees Meta Knight flying towards the tree carrying a stack of books. Kirby waves at him, and he gives a polite wave back before landing next to him. He sits down by the tree and opens one of the books he bought and starts reading. Kirby looks at the cover and reads, "A Historic Compendium of the DDD Dominion." What an insightful book, he thinks to himself. He brings out the Maxim tomato he still has and cuts off another slice for Meta Knight. Kirby offers it to Meta Knight, who glances at it, back at his book, and then back at the slice before grabbing it, thanking Kirby and eating it. He then grabs another book off his stack and hands that to Kirby. Kirby thanks him cheerily before reading the cover, The Adventures of King Dedede. Kirby opens the book and starts reading. He reads about the time that Dedede gave all of his feast to a hungry Waddle Dee, and the time that he drilled a tunnel through a mountain with nothing but his hammer, and the time that he beat Kirby in a fist fight. Kirby didn't like the last story that much. As much of a jerk as King Dedede is, he makes for some pretty interesting stories. Kirby and Meta Knight spend the afternoon together, trading books to read and snacking on the Maxim tomato. Kirby didn't much care for the historic compendium of DDD Dominion, though he did really like 101 Ways to Float in Dreamland. Before they know it, the tomato is gone and the sun is getting ready to set. Kirby stands up and takes a big stretch. He's really been sitting for a while. He waves goodbye to Meta Knight, who waves at him back, and turns to head back to town. Meta Knight stays. He likes to read until the sun fully sets, and even then, if the moon is bright enough, he may stay even longer. Kirby passes by all the things he passed before. Going downhill is a lot easier than going up. He passes by the slug of the leaf, and another slug has joined in the feast. The leaf is almost fully eaten, but they're still having a good time. He passes by the lake, and the frogs in it have come up to sing to the sunset. The dragonflies still dart around the sky. The dandelions blow in the breeze in the warm golden light. The once hyperactive world around him is lulled into sleep by the gentle glow and warmth of the sun. He re-enters town, and all of the Waddle Dees are walking around enjoying their afternoon. The town is much calmer now than it was before. Everyone strolls along at their own pace, chatting to one another and enjoying each other's company. Kirby passes by Kawasaki's cafe and sees Bandana Waddle Dee in one of the booth seats, absolutely stuffed from the nice fish dinner that Kawasaki made for him. He's so full that he looks about ready to fall asleep. Soon enough, Kirby returns to his house. He waves at the daisy just outside as it bobs in the gentle sunset and wind, and opens the door and walks inside. Kirby drinks a nice sleepy time tea and brushes his teeth and washes his face. Sleepily, he puts on his mint sleeping cap and gets all snuggly in bed. Today was a great day, he thinks to himself. Soon, the sun sets and he drifts into sleep, and all of Dreamland sleeps with him.